Mr. Postman, bring me a post. Bring me the post that I love the most.
Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
Thank you everyone for over 250 subscribers. If you want the latest channel updates, please consider following me on Twitter. That's where I tend to post information since I don't have a community tab yet. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, please consider checking out the link to my Ko-fi down in the description. Supporters get a special shout out at the beginning of the video released closest to their donation. Hello everyone, welcome to Multi-Level Mess. My name is Tori, and this is the Fictional Cult Breakdown. In this series, I take a look at depictions of cults in video games and movies and discuss how they compare to real-life modern-day cults, as well as the tactics they use to recruit and control members. In my personal opinion, the media we consume has warped our perception of what a cult really is, making it more difficult to recognize them in the real world. While these depictions are all good and fun for entertainment purposes, it is important that we know how to recognize the warning signs of cults that actually do exist. That being said, oftentimes fictional cults tend to share similarities to their real-world counterparts. So let's have some fun and take a look. Really quick before we get into the video, if you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to unlock that community tab so I can bug you all more efficiently. Thank you so much. Now let's get on with it. Video games offer a wide variety of content for all players. For every lighthearted game about talking to friendly animals or farming or saving the world, there is a darker toned game about sex, drugs, rock, and cock. Sometimes these edgier games tend to be labeled controversial, a label that the Postal franchise wears on its jacket proudly. And for every offensive game, there's gotta be some offensive depiction of religion in there, right? So let me just take a look at the second installment in the franchise. Oh, shit. It's a shooter. I'm not good at those. Well, I gotta get the footage and insider perspective to this game somehow. If only there was someone who knows this game inside and out who could help me.
Well, I don't know if help is quite the right word for it, but I'm here anyway. Wait, why am I a cat?
I didn't have a character sprite for you, so I needed to make do?
Well, I'm not insulted by being portrayed as grumpy, fluffy, and adorable. Though, it feels like something is missing. Ooh, I know! Ah, that's more like it. Hey, people. I'm Tori's husband, Matt, or as my weird internet friends have come to call me, Fwufikins. I'll be acting as your tour guide through the wonderful world of Postal.
It's like the wonderful world of Disney, only with less cease and desist and more integrity.
Developed by Tucson-based studio Running with Scissors, Postal 2 is a perfect simulation of life in small-town Arizona. It is also the sequel to the largely unrelated Postal. Whereas Postal 1 was more or less an isometric murder marathon, Postal 2 is a much more tongue-in-cheek, first-person sandbox focused on exploration and dark comedy.
Games are bad, they make you mad. Games are bad, they make you mad.
I put a warning at the beginning of this video, but I'll say it again. This game does not hold back. I'm gonna try to censor some of the really bad shit so my channel doesn't get taken down, but the whole game is purposefully offensive, so I want to once again warn my viewers that things are gonna get uncomfy.
This game's dark humor and open-world gameplay would set the tone for the sequel 16 years later, Postal 4, No Regerts, as well as the spin-off Postal Brain Damaged. And those are the only entries in the Postal franchise after 2. We play as the Postal Dude, voiced here by Rick Hunter.
Sign my petition, damn it.
He's a simple, all-American-made man who just wants to run errands for his bitch of a wife. The base game of Postal 2 takes place over the course of 1 week, Monday through Friday, in the fictional small town of Paradise, Arizona. Each day of the week, there's a list of errands the dude has to complete before going home for the day. For example, on Monday, you need to pick up and cash your paycheck.
Nothing personal, man, but you're fired.
But I just started yesterday.
And then go to the store to grab some milk. As the week wears on, the map starts to open up, and the errands you need to run begin to get much more arduous. These can range from collecting signatures,
Would you please sign my
Get out, you
petition?
freak!
to confessing your sins,
What the? Get out of the way!
to visiting your dad's grave,
I done busted up his head.
meeting with the late great Gary Coleman,
It's from my mother, I swear.
Yeah, sure it is.
procuring napalm, for weeds of course, and much, much more. Just how you complete these errands is up to you. It is entirely possible to complete the game as a peaceful, law-abiding citizen. However, given all the tools at your disposal, and the often vicious treatment from your fellow townsfolk, the expected solution to most of your problems is, well, going postal. There's plenty of tools at your disposal to enact the game's signature brand of shocking slapstick. Bullets and blades, explosives and flames. By shears that chop and guns that shoot. By stream of piss or mighty boot. From the store to the church to the laundromat. Can't find a silencer? Just use a cat. Wait, no, not me.
Maybe I should have made your avatar a raccoon instead.
Alright. Yeah, okay. Point taken.
Well, it's certainly been a crazy week. Don't worry though, Mr. Dude, it's finally
Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
The only thing you need to do today is deliver a birthday gift to dear old Uncle Dave, who just so happens to lead the neighborhood cult.
Oh, yeah, I suppose we should talk about them, huh? Ahem.
The ETF has the compound completely surrounded, which makes the prospect.
Whoa, slow down there a bit. Let's not jump the gun here. You can't just skip ahead to the middle of attack from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives?
Oh no, no gun jumping here. That's literally just how Friday starts. You wake up, walk your present over to Uncle Dave's compound, and surprise, it's the feds!
This game isn't gonna give me a lot of context to work with, is it?
Absolutely not.
Fine. Carry on.
Now, where was I? Alright.
The ATF has the compound completely surrounded, which makes the prospect of giving Uncle Dave his birthday present much more difficult. Especially considering that by this point in the game, the Postal Dude is carrying more guns and crack than the entire state of Maryland. Unfortunately for the ATF, it's kinda difficult to stop a man who's carrying more guns and crack than the entire state of Maryland.
Now, it might seem a bit shocking to have the ATF just burn down the compound first thing you see, but let's be honest, this isn't even the first example of church burnings involving religious extremism in this game.
Which I'm not gonna be showing here because it has even more levels of uncomfortable depictions that even I don't want on my channel. This time, however, it's the religious extremists getting attacked, though they don't seem shy about attacking you either.
I mean, normally, Uncle Dave and the compound cultists are on good terms with the dude.
Hi there.
Hey,
Here you go, Uncle Dave. Happy fucking birthday.
you rule.
But for some reason, during my playthrough, Uncle Dave decided my birthday present for him just wasn't good enough and started shooting at me. I don't know why he would be so upset. Alright, sure. I might have peed on him. A little. But come on, this is Arizona. He should be thanking me for sharing it with him rather than wasting the water. The point is, he turned on me. So guess what? Now everyone gets to fucking die.
Unfortunately, that means our footage mostly shows the hostile side of the members. Our knowledge of them is a little limited because, again, this is Postal 2, and cult backstory is not something they focused on. A lot of the portrayal of the Church at the Compound seems to be drawn from the Branch Davidians, a real-world doomsday cult that was laid siege upon in 1993 in what is known as the Waco Siege. A 51-day standoff between cult members and federal forces started when the ATF tried to serve a search and arrest warrant at the compound. The initial gunfight that erupted resulted in the deaths of 6 members and 4 agents. After that, the siege was conducted by the FBI. After an attempt to flush out members with a tear gas attack, the compound became engulfed in flames in what investigations determined to be fires set by cult members. The fires killed the leader of the Branch Davidians and 76 other members, including at least 25 children.
Making the siege in the game not quite so far-fetched. I mean, it's still Postal 2, so everything's still a bit far-fetched, and it's not exactly going to be very sensitive with the parallels.
This is the ATF. Please stay inside. Do not attempt to leave the building. Pay no attention to the men with the torches.
Stop oppressing us. We're innocent bystanders.
We recommend you douse yourselves with something flammable and gather in a confined space.
The members of the church tend to all dress in a similar way. The men seem to wear slacks, short-sleeved collared shirts, and red ties, a look that is very familiar to anyone who's had someone come up to their door on a morning where they were just trying to sit around in their underwear, eating ice cream, and watching Berserk.
I swear they have a sensor for the most inconvenient times to knock. Anyway, the women, on the other hand, feel ripped directly from a Catholic schoolgirl porno, with their low neckline tops, short skirts, and cruciform necklaces.
You know, those uniforms always break the immersion for me. But one can argue that the uniforms draw from multiple religious sects that have been deemed cult-like.
It can be inferred in their inspiration by the Branch Davidians, the more skimpy outfits for female members, and material from the totally non-existent Postal 3 that Uncle Dave takes all female members as brides for, quote, post-apocalypse repopulation. It is also possible that they practice communal polyamory or polygamy, referenced by the sign outside the compound that states, ATF, we fucked your wives. Though that might just be a joke.
The leader of the Branch Davidians, Dave Koresh, took on several spiritual wives, quote, quote, supposedly to breed the ones who would become the future rulers of the world. According to some accounts, he had told his members to embrace celibacy, only to turn around and say that all marriages in the group were dissolved and that all the women were to be his wives, quote, if he wanted them. It is alleged that he had up to 20 wives, with some of them being as young as 12 years old. Ugh.
They also haven't been the only other cult-like group under scrutiny for polygamous practices involving underage participants, sadly. However, for a game that pushes the envelope as much as Postal 2 does, at least one thing they didn't do is portray any of the members as being potentially underage. Now that's class.
In case it wasn't inferred enough by the group literally being called the Church of the Compound, they are a textbook definition of what I would classify as a compound cult. Like, it doesn't get any more cut and dry than that. The compound building is rather large and includes a laundry room, a gymnasium, and of course, Uncle Dave's room, featuring a large television screen and a heart-shaped bed that further supports the polygamy theory. It is also fortified with underground bunkers.
It could be possible that the building is a repurposed school or church, further suggested by the buses kept outside as well as its large size. However, it feels a bit closed off due to the elevated rocky terrain surrounding the area, a location where a pre-established school or church would be less likely. So it's possible the building was built specifically for the group. Though, closed off as it may seem, it's not completely isolated. It's only a couple miles outside of the fictional main town of Paradise, Arizona.
Not to be confused with the real-life town of Paradise AZ, which has been a ghost town for nearly a century, or Paradise Valley AZ, which is a suburb in Phoenix that is way too expensive for running with Scissors' budget.
Apparently, it's based off of the town of Bisbee?
Please. At least Bisbee has some tourism appeal.
There's not much information on the cult's doctrine, but it does seem to draw on the use of firearms, as well as encouraging religious extremism.
The good book told me to make you die, then myself.
We're not zealots! Eat lead and die, unbelieving heathen scum.
This reminds me of the Unification Church cult, also known as the Mooney cult because of its founder, Sun Myung Moon. Honestly, that's a whole thing that I might do a deep dive into someday here on the channel. His son, Sean Moon, started a branch church in Pennsylvania called the World Peace and Unification Sanctuary Church, also known as the Rod of Iron Ministries. They have drawn attention in recent years due to their radical right-wing extremism. Basically, they've made their politics their religion. As the name implies, the church has heavily incorporated guns into their religious ceremonies, and Sean Moon has been known to tout a gold-plated AR-15 and a crown made of bullets.
Man, by comparison, the Church of the Compound seems pretty chill. I mean, all Uncle Dave wants to do is relax in a tie-dye shirt and give the wives of government agents a taste of description of unholy sex acts censored for comedic effect. And I mean, really, who can blame them? Clearly the ATF started it, and at least Dave and friends keep their parties local.
At least from what we can infer, there isn't much for us to go off of for how far the church has taken their beliefs, but it's certainly enough for the ATF to get involved. We can assume that they are hostile and potentially even aggressive towards non-believers, and with their weapon-focused doctrine, it wouldn't be much of a stretch to imagine them being extremists, even before the Friday siege.
While in normal playthroughs, they at least aren't hostile to the dude, possibly consider him one of their own due to his relationship with Dave, or maybe just his gift. If one is attacked, though, the entire congregation will turn on you. Or me in this case.
It seems that whoever is a friend of Dave is considered a friend of the church, with the same logic applying to his enemies.
Dave is pretty obviously the leader of this whole circus. He's considered their prophet, who preaches a very warped version of Christianity. Much like the Branch Davidians, which were an offshoot of the Davidian Seventh-day Adventists, which themselves are one of numerous sects of Christianity.
And don't get me wrong, Seventh-day Adventists are also scrutinized for being cult-like and are another possible topic for me to cover at some point. Again, it is likely that as the leader, Uncle Dave has used his position of authority to coerce his members into sexual activities. While there is certainly a higher power that he and his followers refer to, I have no doubts that his leadership is not to be questioned.
Well, at least he's on good terms with the dude. Or he was.
So, what exactly happened to the church after the raid?
Well, in the words of all those documentaries that like to depict the end of the dinosaurs just to make me cry, nothing lasts forever. As far as I know, the compound was completely destroyed, akin to the Branch Davidians, and the cult doesn't seem to survive past Friday. The ensuing apocalypse after you complete your final errand probably does not help. The members are either dispersed or deceased, making no future appearances in any of the expansions or sequels. As for Uncle Dave himself, he somehow managed to avoid the same fate as his real-life inspiration and actually survives. In the Paradise Lost expansion, he runs a medicinal herb farm in the ruins of the old compound.
Uncle Dave, what are you doing here?
Oh, that religious cult stuff wasn't panning out, so I moved into the herb business. Go green and stuff. It's good for the environment, I think.
He also appears in the sequel that tragically never was, Postal 3, as well as the movie by Uwe Boll.
Alas, it seems that, at least as far as this series currently goes, he has yet to have nearly as large of an impact on the world of Postal as he once did. Perhaps with how terrible everything else in Postal is, though, that is a good thing.
You know, I feel like there's a moral to be learned from all of this.
That even video games purposefully created to satirize and offend can still be used as insight into the harmful nature of real-world cults and organized religions that preach violence.
What? No, that's what you got out of all this? No, the real lesson to be learned here is to make sure you buy your crack earlier in the week before the price goes up. And while we're at it, always give in to your violent urges and addictions. Your anger is justified, and they are out to get you.
Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this episode of Fictional Cult Breakdown. I know this one took quite a while, so thank you all for watching and for sticking with me during the delay. If you have any requests for other fictional cults for me to look into, feel free to drop a suggestion in the comments. Please consider giving this video a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and check out my blog at multilevelmess.wordpress.com. Many thanks to Fwufikins here for helping me with this episode. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I need to get this guy to his coffin for a nap. I hope to see you all back in the graveyard very soon.
Give in to your violent urges and addictions. Your anger is justified, and they are out to get you. Everyone else is already part of the conspiracy. They've just been pretending around you to see how long it takes for you to notice. They're all laughing at you. You can stop this. It's no use hiding now anyway. By now the government knows what you're thinking. They know that you're on their scheme to force more birds to fuel their trafficking operations for the reptilian overlords. The only real god in this world is Bigfoot, and he blessed you with your mighty kick to kick down doors and piss in the toasters of those who conspire against you. Do what our Lord and Savior Sasquatch would want. Destroy the evil. Piss straight into the air. Vigorously master into images of big beans. We live in a simulation anyway, so there won't be any consequences. Just do it fast. They're already coming for you, just like they did for me after I caught on to their plans to tax our soda supply. Mountain Dew is an endangered species. They're planning to hoard delicious dew meat for the ultra-rich. We cannot let them take our sacred living from us. You are the sons and or daughters of the Bajas they couldn't blast. Also, please remember that littering is bad for the environment, and if you drop any trash, Captain Planet will lay eggs in your stomach. It's true. It was revealed to me in a dream by Moses, the fabled shoefucker of the telephone book edition of the Bible on Ice.
I'm sure I had a point in here somewhere, but I think I forgot it. Do you want to go get some pizza?